Bolten Ur Weizen.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. The sun is not even out, but it is over the yard arm. I know that for a fact. So, I've got one of these. This is the Bolten Ur Weizen. Now, it's not Bolten from Lancashire. This is Bolten Brewery from the Rhine-Westphalia area in the very western part of Germany, almost on the Dutch border. And it's in a place called, I think it's Korsenbräu, I think it's pronounced. And a little town there, but this is the oldest alt beer brewer in the world. They go back to 1266. Now that is some fucking feat. 1266. Now you got to respect that. And this, I tried their alt beer, and it is the best alt beer I've ever tasted. It really is a good one. And I've tried quite a few, so I'm assuming it's the best. But I've tried quite a few. If you look on the reviews on the channel, there is a lot on there. But that really stood out as being a good alt beer. What I know is an alt beer anyway. And this one is interesting because it's a Weiss beer. Now, they even admit this as well. Boltons even admit this as well, that Bavaria is the home of Weiss beer. But they said they were brewing top fermented alt years ago. So they said they do know a little bit about top fermented beer. And they use alt yeast in this as well, which again is interesting. So that's going to give it a bit of a unique flavour. And I'm not sure whether there's a little bit of a rivalry going on between them and the Bavarian wheat beer brewers. But they're saying that they know top fermentation. They've been doing it since 1266. So, you know, that's why they've decided to do a wheat beer. So let's stop guessing and let's start investigating. Right, this is a 500ml bottle. It is 5.4% ABV. This conforms to the Reinheitsgebot. This uses light wheat, whatever that is, I do not know. But it's got all the traits of being a good one. However, I have said that before and then been very disappointed. So the only way to test that is get this open and see what's going on. Right, get this cap off. There's what the cap looks like. Quite an interesting cap. Put it in the collection. Oh, that smells different. There's a sourness to that. Well, and that is coming from the alt yeast. This, whoa! Look at how clear that is. Whoa! Well, this is definitely a new one on me. The only wheat beer I've seen that colour before was the Einga Lechter Weiss, which was a light wheat beer, low ABV wheat beer. I suppose that's what they were saying about when they use light wheat. The fucking carbonation in that is just insane. And it does look like, surprisingly, it does look like a Berliner. Wow. Well, that is definitely one of the yellowest wheat beers. Normally the Bavarian stuff has got like orangey hues to it, but that's not. It's pure golden yellow, cloudy, murky yellow. What are we getting on the nose? Oh, again, that I'm expecting sweet banana, clove, vanilla, spice, that type of thing. But I'm getting a sourness to it. It's like a yeasty sourness, which is definitely different. There it is. I really am intrigued now to see what this is like, because I think this is going to be a bit different. A North German Weissbier. Let's give it a go. Zum Wohl, as they say in Germany. And it is different. The malts are huge in this. And I don't know, maybe this is a subconscious thing, but I'm getting what appears to be, yeah, there's like a light wheaty flavour, but there's also what I can deduce as caramel malt, which is really is a first for me in a light coloured Weissbier. In Dunkels, maybe the odd time you do get that, not in a light one. There is also a sourness to it. That sourness I was getting from the aromas on there, that's in there too. And that is replacing the banana and clove, which again is different. And then on the finish, there's a huge malt. And to me, it's almost like a caramel malt, as I said. The yeast in this is doing some very, very strange things. Wow. There is no real banana and clove that I can deduce. And I have to say, that must be a first. And yeah, and that would be the case because they're using alt yeast. So there is no banana and clove phenols or esters coming from that kind of yeast. And it's turned this into, I mean, if you look at that now, that looks like a Belgian Vit to me. If someone poured me that out and I didn't have a sniff of it or a taste, I'd look at that and I'd say, well, that's obviously a Belgian Vit. But it's not. It doesn't taste like one either. Really don't know what to make of this. There is some spice on there, but not clove. It's like a, what would that be? It's almost like a black pepper infused with some other type, like maybe, is it oregano? It's not coriander, because this is definitely not a Belgian Vit. There's nothing, it might look like one, definitely does not taste like one. But there is spice on there, subtle spice. And it's really thrown me. If you bought that thinking you were getting a typical German Weissbier, you would be wrong. It's got a weak body to it as well. And the spiciness on this, I'm trying to work out what it is. There is pepper there. I'm getting some of that white pepper. A touch of black pepper as well. But it's like a musty type aroma. Not coming from the hops either. It's almost like a cake, like a sponge cake, but an earthy sponge cake, if that makes sense, or a sponge cake without the sweetness. It's really throwing me. I'm imagining that's a combination of the wheat that's in this and the yeast, but I'm not sure whether I like it or not. I'm definitely getting a touch of caramel malt on the finish. Definitely. But it's quite a dry, bitter finish to it as well. Almost like a hop bitterness, like a noble hop type earth and spice finish on it too. This is definitely different, and I'm not sure about it. So what's the verdict on this? Well, I mean, it clearly says Ur Weizen, right? Ur Weizen means naturally, or a natural Weizen, natural wheat beer. But that is not like any wheat beer I've tasted. Certainly not like a Bavarian, and not like any other German wheat beer. I think what they've done is they've decided to brew a beer, top ferment a beer like this, use the alt yeast, which of course hasn't got the banana and clove, but still throw the wheat in there, which is giving it its cloudy appearance, making it look like a Belgian Wit. And the flavour is caramel malt and earthy and slightly spicy, peppery, floral, herbal notes with a bit of sponge cake, with the sugar taken out of it. That's a total mindfuck for me, that is. And I really don't know how to mark this. On its own merits, it's reasonably drinkable. There's nothing really nasty in that I would say. I mean, it goes down quite nicely. Mouth feels good. But it's just throwing me, because I'm geared up to be drinking Weiss beer, and it's anything but. Well, that's a first for me. I'll give it marks for being unique. I mean, they're obviously experimenting. They couldn't be further away from the home of Weiss beer. They've used different yeast, which hasn't got the characteristics of a German Weizen. And they've come up with something that could arguably have its own genre, just like a Berliner Weiss. This could be, I don't know, Weiss Alt, if you like. I don't know. For once, I'm genuinely stumped as to how to mark it. As I said, it's not a bad beer, but it's not a wheat beer. They're calling that a wheat beer, and it's got none of the characteristics of a traditional German wheat beer. It's got wheat in it, and that is about it. And everything else is just off the scale. See, the thing is, if I give it a mark, I could be marking it high, I could be marking it low, and I'm taking marks off because it doesn't taste like a wheat beer, and I'm adding marks because it's not a bad drink on its own. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. But then I'm saying that, and I don't want to give it a 7 out of 10 because they've billed that as a wheat beer and it tastes nothing like it. No, sorry, I'm going to have to put my foot down here. I'm going to give you a 5 out of 10. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10 because it doesn't taste like any European wheat beer that I've ever tasted. If a craft brewer did this, I would be fucking launching into them, saying, you know, you pieces of shit, what have you done? But I can see the reasons they've done it. They're German. They come from the north of Germany, and they said, we're going to do our own take, just like the people in Berlin did their own take on a wheat beer. So me not giving them a 7, I don't know, it's really tearing me. Do you know what, for once I'm not going to give it a mark. My head's all over the place with this one. I can't give it a mark because the reason I can't give it a mark is because they're doing their own thing. They're advertising it as a wheat beer. Yes, it's unique. Yes, it's wrong advertising. Doesn't taste like a traditional wheat beer. They never set out to taste like a traditional wheat beer. They're using their own yeast, Alch yeast, which they're famous for. And they're sticking 2 fingers up at the Bavarian lot. So, no, there's going to be no mark because for every positive, there's going to be a negative, and for every negative, there's going to be a positive. So, no mark on this one. But I urge you to try it. It's on Beers of Europe at the moment. That will blow your mind. If you're a fan of Weiss beer, this will totally blow your mind. It's completely different to any wheat beer you will ever try, and that's including the Belgian stuff as well. So yeah, for once, no mark. And remember, if this doesn't confuse you, nothing will.